Welcome to the Gut Health 101 Masterclass. This is going to be a brief overview of gut health, more of a beginner course that will kind of introduce you to some gut health basics. I do go into much more detail in my 6-week Gut Health Foundations course and we'll dive even deeper in my upcoming 12-week Mood, Metabolism, and Microbiome Mastery course. But for now, let's dive in. We'll get into some of the basics. In this class, we're going to briefly discuss why gut health is so important, some signs of poor gut health, the microbiome, the gut-brain connection. We'll touch on leaky gut. We'll go over a few foods to eat to improve your gut health and some foods you may want to consider eliminating to improve your gut health. And then I'll just sum it all up. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? My name is Rebecca Arcina. I'm a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, a Certified Functional Nutrition Counselor, and a Functional Medicine Certified Health Coach. So basically all that means that I view things through a little bit different lens than maybe your standard health coach or standard healthcare practitioner. I look at things from a root cause approach. In functional nutrition, we say everything's connected and all things matter. So, and everyone is a unique individual, so we can't use cookie cutter approaches to get lasting long-term health. I spent literally decades with brain fog, bloating, abdominal pain, chronic respiratory infections, fatigue, and multiple other health conditions. And only when I started approaching things from a root cause perspective did I finally start to feel better. I was laying on a heating pad 4 or 5 nights a week because of abdominal pain and bloating. I was saying no to social outings because I never knew, number one, if I was going to be able to fit into my clothes because of the bloating. Number two, who wants to be at a social event and have a lot of digestive distress? It's just miserable. So I also dropped a pant size without changing anything else except for the fact that I was addressing my gut health issues. So I love to help other people kind of get to the root cause of what's going on with their health and help you have long-term success and none of this quick fix resolution. It's all root cause resolution. So I'm a recovering perfectionist and eating disorder survivor. I love everything health and wellness. Friends and family are always coming to me, and they have for years because they know if I don't know about it, I will find out about it for them. Took my health into my own hands after years, like I said, of being brushed off by mainstream medicine. I was basically given a pat on the head and sent out of the doctor's office multiple times, being told it was stress, sent to several specialists and ologists, and still got no resolution till I took things from a functional medicine perspective. And that's why I am so passionate about this approach. I love empowering others to take back control of their health. In my family life, I am married, I have a teenage daughter, and we have a crazy rescue dog. And if you follow me at all on social media, you've probably seen him. I think I have him on a slide, one of these slides, and I'm obsessed with good coffee. So that's me. But let's get back to gut health. Gut health is so much more than just popping a probiotic or eating some Activia yogurt. You know, that's what you're going to see all over the media. You know, just here's a probiotic. There is no shortage of probiotics on the market. That is for sure. Hippocrates stated all disease begins in the gut, and almost every chronic disease can be traced back to an imbalance in our gut health. So gut is truly the core foundation of our health. Every body system hinges on proper digestion and optimal gut health. About 70 million people suffer from digestive disease of some sort, and 70%, and I think that's actually low, of all Americans will suffer digestive disease in their lifetime. We literally cannot be healthy without proper digestion, proper gut health. So this is an extensive list here over the next couple of slides, but it still only scratches the surface of what conditions can pop up when you have an imbalanced gut. So we're looking at ADHD, anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune diseases, arthritis, even poor workout recovery, skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema, rosacea, acne. Those things also have a gut component. And here we go. We've still got more. We've got fatigue, bloating, IBS, which is basically just a collection of all these symptoms, brain fog, weight loss resistance, arthritis, insomnia, migraines, even thyroid disease are all linked to the gut. So let's meet the stars of the show, the gut microbiome. These are trillions of little bacteria, fungi, protozoa, yeast that live in our microbiome, and they outnumber us as far as cellular and DNA composition. And it's unique to everybody. It's like a fingerprint. We have both good and bad microbes, and they're both supposed to be there. You know, these do all serve a purpose. The good ones help us digest our food, they produce vitamins, and they boost our immune system. And the bad ones can cause trouble if they overgrow and start to crowd out the good ones. I kind of use the Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader analogy here, but also like having friendly neighbors who are going to help the good bacteria, and then you've got those noisy neighbors who are always throwing parties, and those are the bad bacteria. And like I said before, they do outnumber us as human cells, so it makes sense to take care of our microbiome because they are literally running the show. They produce vitamins, help digest our food. They train our immune system, produce anti-inflammatory compounds. They affect every aspect of our digestion, immunity, and even mood. And scientists are studying now how the gut microbiome links to things like obesity, allergies, mental health, diabetes, and autoimmune disease is one of the #1 things that that poor gut health is actually a trigger for. That's one of the 3 things that you need to basically trigger an autoimmune disease is an imbalanced gut. So dysbiosis is just an imbalance in the microbiome. It's the Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, imbalance there. It results in an abnormal environment in the gut, which leads to inflammation, leaky gut, which we'll touch on later, irritable bowel disease, inflammation, arthritis, thyroid disease, moods, depression, brain fog, and all sorts of neurological symptoms. And keeping this environment balanced is not just a one and done. It's not just to pop a probiotic or eat an Activia yogurt. It takes consistent effort to be able to maintain a healthy gut, because our gut is being assaulted on a daily basis between all the environmental toxins, all of the processed foods, and there's constant insults on our gut. And so we have to be vigilant. I like to think of our gut as like an Airbnb. Our body is an Airbnb for these microbes. If we feed them well, provide the right environment, they're going to keep the place neat and tidy, and they're going to refer their friends. If we give them poor quality food, we don't sleep, we drink a lot of alcohol, we eat a lot of sugar, and don't give them adequate conditions, they're going to trash the place. The gut-brain axis is a two-way street. There's actually more information that goes from the gut to the brain than the brain to the gut. And it's quite a significant difference too. There's, when you think about it, now that you know that your gut health can impact your mood, it makes sense, right? Because poor gut health, dysbiosis in the gut is going to lead to the brain through the vagus nerve. And I don't think touch on that in detail in this course, but that is in my 6-week course, and we'll go over basics about how the gut and the brain are connected here, but I go in more detail in my other courses. So the gut is referred to as the second brain. You may have heard that before. It's a two-way communication. And here the ENS stands for enteric nervous system. The gut has its own nervous system, which is actually independent from the brain. It could technically work on its own if it wasn't even linked to the brain. It's like one big game of telephone. Neurotransmitters are little chemicals that are released into the space between the nerve cells, and that when we have imbalances in these neurotransmitters like GABA, dopamine, serotonin, they can affect our mood. You've probably heard of that. Dopamine is the kind of the motivation neurotransmitter. Serotonin, the happy chemical. GABA keeps us kind of chill and calm. So imbalance in those neurotransmitters is going to cause an issue with our mood. And the enteric nervous system, the nervous system, the gut actually produces more neurotransmitters than the brain. So we've got to keep the gut healthy so we can keep those neurotransmitters balanced. When we have an imbalance in the gut bacteria, this changes our behavior by affecting the neurotransmitter function. And it is no coincidence, 70 to 90% of people with IBS also have a mood disorder. So when the gut bacteria are disrupted, it leads to physical symptoms, inflammation, changes in mood, and even food cravings. You could be craving certain foods simply because the bacteria that are overgrown in your gut actually prefer that food source. There have been studies that show that kids with autism actually have a different makeup of their gut microbiome. Those microbes prefer things like sugar and starch, so you may, if you know anyone or have anyone in your life that has had autism, or even is on the autism spectrum, you know that they prefer the sugars and the starches, and that's because likely that's what their gut microbes are asking for. So we're just going to do a quick overview of leaky gut. This leads to multiple issues like food sensitivities, food intolerances, skin issues, overall inflammation, brain fog, and something called leaky brain, which we're not going to go into in this presentation, but leaky gut is also referred to, the technical term is altered intestinal permeability. The lining of our gut is pretty fragile. It's just one cell layer thick. And when this gut lining gets damaged, the tight junctions or the spaces in between those cells open up, and they allow things that are not supposed to get through the gut into the bloodstream to leak through. And this causes an immune response. Our immune cells are, we have 70% of our immune system in our gut. And those immune cells are on high alert, waiting for things to come through that they trigger as invaders. And this happens when you have leaky gut. When you have that space in between the cells that's not supposed to be there, things get through and trigger an immune response. And things like celiac disease or gluten can damage those little fingers, the little villi on top. And those are in the small intestine. That's where our nutrients are absorbed. So if you have damaged villi, then your nutrient absorption is compromised. No matter how perfect your diet is, you could be eating a perfectly healthy diet, but if your gut is inflamed or you have leaky gut or there's villi or damage, you're not going to be absorbing your nutrients. So I don't care what your macro coach has set for you for numbers, none of that matters if you have leaky gut. Things that can contribute to leaky gut. Over-exercising. This was a big one for me. I was working out 6 or 7 days a week, crazy high HIIT boot camp workouts, and that was damaging my gut, and it is a vicious cycle. Ultra-processed foods, and those are things in packages with multiple ingredients. You know, a lot of foods are processed, but you want minimally processed. You're looking for a lot of times things with 5 ingredients or less. Ultra-processed foods are the things you're going to find in the grocery store in the middle aisle, the crackers, the chips, the cookies, the baked goods, with multiple items. And I do caution you, if you're someone that is doing keto or gluten-free, to not be lured into thinking that just because something says gluten-free or keto, that means it's going to be healthy. Those are still oftentimes ultra-processed foods. If you're looking in the baking aisle, you're looking at the gluten-free muffin mixes and cookie mixes or the keto brownie mixes. Those are all still ultra-processed foods. And that leads us right into sugar. Hydrogenated fats. If something has fats, rancid fats in it, then that is damaging your gut lining. Stress contributes to a leaky gut because of the effects of cortisol on our gut microbiome. Toxins, infections, and medications can cause leaky gut. So the most powerful thing we can do for our gut health is right on the end of your fork. There are several ways to modulate our gut health, but what we eat makes the biggest difference. We are not what we eat, though. We're technically what we can digest and absorb. And we're looking at foods to include and foods to avoid. We're crowding in colorful fruits and vegetables, Probiotic and prebiotic foods, healthy fats, herbs and spices, those get overlooked and they're so easy to add. And they add a huge nutritional punch. So fresh herbs and spices. And they also amp up the flavor of your foods and make, what you may feel like is a bland diet taste so much better. Whole grains if you tolerate them. Crowding out sugar, gluten, alcohol, heavily processed foods, artificial sweeteners. Now, gluten may not be a problem for everyone, but it's a problem for a lot of people. So if you have gut issues, we may start with a gluten, dairy, sugar elimination. And gluten in grains and legumes can even be difficult to digest if you have an unhealthy gut. So here, identifying and removing food sensitivities is also key. And this is most effectively done with an elimination diet and a proper reintroduction versus food sensitivity testing. A lot of those can be inaccurate, can be expensive, and it can lead to more restriction, and that leads to less diversity of the microbiome and worse gut health. So an elimination diet is a better way to start here. So your macro coach may not want you to hear this, but food is more than calories in and calories out. It's not just information. It tells our bodies how to react and respond on a cellular level. It's been estimated that 60% of the average American's diet is actually composed of processed foods. And these foods are adding sweeteners and salt and chemicals, and those all negatively impact gut health. And even if you are eating what you consider a healthy diet, if your gut function is not optimal, you won't be digesting and absorbing those nutrients properly. I know this is the second time I've said that, but it is a very important idea to get across, is that you've got to have a healthy gut. This is why you start with gut healing and then move on from there. So we need to have a properly functioning digestive system in order to balance our gut microbiome and live a good, healthy life. So there's my crazy boy. I told you that he might be in here in one of these slides. Fiber is our gut's best friend. We want to eat plenty of fiber. Most people don't get enough fiber in their diets. It's estimated that, the average person gets maybe 15 grams of fiber, whereas at least 25 is ideal, even more. Our ancestors ate over 40 grams of fiber a day. And that's just gone down over the years because of a lot of the processing of our foods and a lot more eating convenience foods and not cooking at home and just eating more packaged and boxed foods, frozen foods, that sort of thing. So when we're talking about gut health, we want to incorporate a diverse range of foods into our diet, because a wider variety of foods is going to lead to a more diverse gut microbiome, and the microbiome loves diversity. This is where good guys can crowd out the bad guys. We want to eat the rainbow, and actually eating smaller amounts of multiple colors is as beneficial, if not more, than eating like a huge plate of broccoli. So you want to add as many colors as you can to your plate, and we want to prioritize these foods rich in fiber because our microbiome uses fiber to generate short-chain fatty acids. These short-chain fatty acids help strengthen our gut lining, boost our immune system. They also communicate with the brain, so very important for brain health. So who would have thought eating your fiber improves your brain health? But it does. So again, here, if tolerated, we're looking at oats. This is soluble fiber. This type of fiber dissolves in water and forms a gel-like substance, and it can be used by the gut bacteria. Oats and oat bran, that can be tough for some people. With oats, you want to make sure you're looking for gluten-free and, if possible, glyphosate-free. There are brands on the market now that do advertise they are glyphosate-free, so that's less toxins. Some oats can be cross-contaminated with gluten, so if you are celiac, you probably avoid oats. But if you can find a good gluten-free brand and you're not celiac disease, don't have celiac disease, then oats can be a good source of fiber. Fruits, citrus and berries. Berries are nice and low glycemic, so those should not impact your blood sugar. Vegetables, legumes, beans and lentils, psyllium husk. I throw some psyllium husk in my smoothie every morning. Super easy way to get some extra fiber. and nuts and seeds. And again, you'll have to play around with this and see what your system can tolerate. And then we're looking at insoluble fiber. This type of fiber does not dissolve in water and it adds bulk to your stool. It helps promote regular bowel movements, prevents constipation, and regular bowel movements are imperative to our gut health. They are so important for removal of toxins, for hormonal balance. Again, something we're not diving into in this course, but I do have other offerings for that. Some examples of food sources of insoluble fiber: whole wheat if you can tolerate gluten, brown rice, veggies, potatoes, nuts, and seeds. A lot of foods contain both soluble and insoluble fiber, so don't get bogged down with, if you're getting enough of each of those. Just try to make sure you're eating a good mix of fibrous foods so that you can get both of those, insoluble and soluble. If you've been eating a low fiber diet for some time, you want to add this slowly. You may notice some gas and bloating as you adjust to more fiber. Start slowly. Make sure you drink plenty of water. A goal would be a minimum of 25 grams of fiber a day. And if you do have a lot of digestive issues when you're trying to start with more fiber, you can also just prep your veggies a little differently, see if that helps. Instead of eating a big salad at lunch, try steaming or roasting some vegetables, and that's easier to digest. You can always use a fiber supplement, but we always want to take a food first approach. And there's a couple of really easy ways to increase your fiber. You may have seen this on the internet. If not, there's a challenge where you try to add 30 different plant foods in 1 week. To improve the diversity, increase the diversity of your gut microbiome. It's very easy to do, especially if you're someone that eats a big salad every day. Get one of those tubs of spring mix, and you have probably 7 or 8 different plants in there. And when I'm talking plants, you may be happy to hear coffee counts, but you can count each plant only once. So keep track of it. See if you can do that 30 plants in 7 days challenge. It includes vegetables, fruits, herbs, spices. So if you use a spice blend that has several different spices in it, that counts too. So it can be actually a lot easier than you think. And then there's another way you can increase the diversity. You can make what we call a microbiome mash. That's where you take a bunch of different vegetables that you maybe don't traditionally eat during the week, chop them all up, throw them in your food processor. So you're chopping them up into really, really small bits. You will put that in a freezer bag, put it in your freezer, and then in the morning or sometime during the day, you'll take out that bag, you'll break off a little chunk of those chopped up vegetables, put it in a blender with a little bit of water, blend it up and drink it down. You can even add, doesn't have to be just vegetables, you can add things like garlic and different roots, ginger, that sort of thing. And also even fruit. You can add a pear or an apple to that, and that just helps with the diversity if you're struggling to get a good number of fruits and veggies in your diet. We're going to talk about the 4 P's for gut health: protein, phytonutrients, probiotics, and prebiotics. So protein, we all know how important protein is for health, but it is critically important for the integrity of our gut. Protein is a building block for everything in our bodies, including the gut lining. Protein-rich foods are broken down into amino acids, which act as signaling molecules in the gut. And it helps to repair and maintain the tissues in our digestive system, helps support the good bacteria, promoting a healthier balance of microorganisms. So everyone's protein needs are different. And I'm sure you've heard, or you may have heard, a lot of different back and forth about high protein diets, low protein diets, what's better for your health. Again, it's individual. It's something you want to work with a coach one-on-one to help get the right balance for you, for your goals, for your health condition, or for just the status of your gut at this time, because some people struggle to digest protein. And when that happens, we need to, again, back it up to the gut and start working on digestive functions so we can digest and absorb that protein better. I'm going to talk about one amino acid, which is, of course, a building block of protein here, and that's tryptophan. You may think about tryptophan if you've heard people say that they want to take a nap after Thanksgiving dinner, after that turkey, and you've heard, oh, it's the tryptophan that's making you have a nap. This is an essential amino acid we get from eating protein. It plays a crucial role in several areas of our health. It serves as a building block for metabolites, which are byproducts of digestion, produced by gut bacteria. Lack of dietary tryptophan or an unhealthy gut can lead to a deficiency in these metabolites, and it can actually impact our ability to produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, which is needed to make melatonin. So when you don't have enough melatonin, you're going to struggle with sleep. It's essential for normal brain processes that affect mood, behavior, memory, and learning. Some examples of tryptophan-rich foods that you can try: whey protein if you can tolerate dairy, salmon, dairy, again, if you can tolerate dairy, eggs, nuts and seeds, chicken and turkey, pork, peanuts. Those are just some sources. That's not an exhaustive list, but those are a few things that you can make sure you're trying to include in your diet. And then we're going to go to phytonutrients. Those are the naturally occurring compounds found in plants, and they have so many health benefits, including supporting gut health. Again, we're looking at eating the rainbow here. Don't forget about those spices. Those are such an easy way to get a lot of phytonutrients in your diet, and they're what give fruit and vegetables their beautiful colors. So just aim for a good, colorful diet, and you're going to find that that's going to improve your health. Just a breakdown here of how phytonutrients can improve your gut health. They have antioxidant effects, they're anti-inflammatory, they support the gut microbiome, they help with gut barrier function so that we don't have leaky gut. They have immune system support, and they can alleviate digestive symptoms. Things like ginger and peppermint, those are things that can help to reduce digestive distress. One class of phytonutrients are polyphenols. They are naturally occurring compounds found in fruit, vegetables, tea, coffee, red wine, cocoa. They've been studied for potential health benefits, including their positive impact on gut health. This is my favorite group because it involves coffee and chocolate, two of my favorite foods. So again, easy way. You can eat, if you do a morning smoothie, you can add multiple things in your smoothie that are going to get your polyphenol count up for the day. So eat the rainbow. Sounds basic, sounds simple, but makes a huge difference. And no, we're not talking about Skittles. Probiotics. I know you probably take a probiotic. So many people I know do, and oftentimes they're not, they're not effective because of the type of probiotic, because of the quality of the probiotic. But that is a topic for another masterclass. So here we want to go food first if we can. Probiotic foods positively impact gut health by introducing good gut bacteria into the digestive system, and helps balance the microbiome, improves digestion, helps our immune system, and might ease some gastrointestinal symptoms like bloating or constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, those sort of things. Probiotics can help those GI issues. And there's also been research on probiotics and things like weight, anxiety, depression, and cognitive health. And also one thing that I didn't add in here was chronic fatigue. There's been some really good research on some specific probiotic supplements for chronic fatigue, which has become an epidemic post-pandemic. Speaking personally from this, I have a strong connection to this myself. So again, we're talking about consuming a variety of probiotic-rich foods. We're always aiming toward resilience, not perfection. That's something I feel like I need to stress, because perfection doesn't exist, but we want a resilient gut microbiome. Depending on your specific health status, you may or not be able to tolerate certain probiotic foods into your diet. For instance, if you have histamine intolerance currently, you may react negatively to things like sauerkraut or other fermented foods. Or if you have dairy sensitivities or lactose intolerance, obviously you won't be able to add any of the dairy-based probiotic foods. So Yes, this is again personalizing your diet to what you can tolerate now. And once you have healed your gut, you may find that you can add some more of these foods back in. That is the goal. And talking about resilience, we want to be able to kind of divert from our typical diet or our typical eating style here and there if we have vacations or celebrations, and we should have a gut that can bounce back after that. And that's what we're trying to build here, is a gut that is resilient. Some other probiotic foods, yogurt, you want to make sure you are looking for plain yogurt. So many yogurts out there have a ton of added sugar, so check your labels on this. It's one of the most well-known probiotic foods. So if you can get grass-fed, plain, organic, that's ideal for yogurt. Kefir is a fermented dairy product similar to yogurt, but it's thinner consistency. If you're dairy-free, they do make a coconut kefir as well. Some people call it kefir. I'm not sure what the correct pronunciation is. I've heard both ways, but I call it kefir. So you can do kefir on a dairy-free diet. Just look for that coconut-based kefir, and again, look for added sugars. They sneak those into these products, so you have to really be a detective when you're looking at your labels. Sauerkraut is fermented cabbage. It's a good source of lactic acid bacteria. It can support gut health by promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. And again, with this, you may want to start slow, even just a teaspoon of sauerkraut, and then work your way up. Kimchi, miso, tempeh, those are all different probiotic foods as well. Kimchi is from fermented vegetables. Miso is more of a seasoning. Tempeh is fermented soybean product. If you're choosing soy-based products, make sure that you're choosing organic and the least processed. So I don't want you going out and buying a soy protein bar or a soy protein powder. Those are highly processed. We want to stick with more of the unprocessed soy and organic, because glyphosate is commonly used on crops like wheat, soy, corn, and glyphosate's a toxin. So more and more research is coming out on the impact of glyphosate on our body, on everything from our brain health to our hormones and our gut health. So if you're choosing soy, choose organic. Pickles, those are a good source of probiotics. Some pickles are fermented in brine, and they can be a good source. Again, pickles can have so many different ingredients in them. Be aware of added sugars. A good brand is Bubby's, so that's something you can try. Fermented cheeses, certain cheeses, Gouda, Cheddar Swiss, may contain live probiotic bacteria, but the content can vary, and of course, if you have dairy issues, these probably are not a good option. Are you still with me? We're getting there. We're almost to the end of this masterclass, and we've got just a few more things to go over. Prebiotic foods, they're rich in dietary fiber. Yes, here we go, talking about fiber again. They provide nourishment for the bacteria in the gut. Basically, the prebiotics are the food that the probiotic bacteria eat. So you can be taking all the probiotics you want, but if you do not have that prebiotic fiber to feed them, you're not getting the benefits of the byproducts of the probiotics. So prebiotics are not digested by us, but they're fermented by the gut bacteria, and that produces the beneficial byproducts like short-chain fatty acids, which we talked about a little bit earlier. So basically, they're the food for the good gut bacteria. Prebiotics can improve our gut health by producing short-chain fatty acids, like I said, like butyrate, which is essential for healthy gut, and it's also essential for healthy brain. It helps to improve our gut barrier, that lining, that one cell thick lining, helps to, shield against the potential for leaky gut. It helps to absorb our nutrients better, support the immune system, and reduces inflammation overall. So prebiotics can help reduce the inflammation in the gut and in our overall body. Some prebiotic foods are going to be things like garlic, onions, leeks. Again, those can be difficult for some people to digest. I have trouble with those. So you'll have to just experiment and see which ones you can tolerate. Asparagus, green bananas, jicama, which is a root. It's actually quite tasty. It is You can chop it up and put it in salads. They actually have seen it made into like little tortillas to use as a wrap. Oats, barley, and flaxseed, apples and pears. Cruciferous veggies are all-stars. They are great when it comes to detoxification as well and hormone balance. So if you have any issues with hormones, up your intake of your cruciferous veggies if you can. This may be a problem for people that are sensitive to things called FODMAPs. Those are fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Those are certain types of carbohydrates found in specific vegetables and some grains. So some people have issues with FODMAPs. So cruciferous vegetables may not be good for you at this time, but again, something to look at working into your diet as your gut heals. I did want to touch on resistant starch. That is exactly what it sounds like. Starch that we don't absorb, but our large intestine does. So that means we generally don't absorb as many calories from it as we would. It doesn't impact our blood sugar like regular starch, like you're thinking about a potato or or rice or sugar or French fries, any starch, crackers, that sort of thing. Our microbes love resistant starch. So that is something that is really easy to add, and I'm going to give you some ideas here as to how you can add some of that resistant starch so it can act as a prebiotic fiber for your gut microbiome. It helps to stimulate the good gut bacteria. And Chris Kresser, who you may or may not know if you follow the functional health world at all, functional medicine space, you probably have heard of Chris Kresser. And here's a quote from him, RS, meaning resistant starch. It has been studied to have several beneficial effects contributing to weight loss, including decreased blood insulin spikes after meals, decreased appetite, decreased fat storage in fat cells. There may also be preservation of lean body mass through further studies in humans are needed to confirm its overall impact on body weight. But resistant starch can act a bit like these common and popular weight loss drugs now, which are GLP-1 agonists. So resistant starch can actually act as exactly as the GLP-1 weight loss drugs, not obviously to that extent, but it does have the similar properties. So some sources of resistant starch: plantains, green bananas, cooked and cooled rice, cooked and cooled potatoes, unmodified potato starch. So you'll cook your rice the night before, put it in the fridge, eat it the next day. Same thing with potatoes or sweet potatoes. You'll eat them once you've cooked and cooled them. That increases the resistant starch. And yes, people that are counting macros or calories, you may see that these foods that I've listed here are higher in carbs. However, you're going to absorb fewer of those carbs because it's going to be resistant starch for your microbes. One thing I like to use is green banana flour. Or plantain flour. You can put a scoop of that into your morning smoothie and you have added resistant starch without adding a ton of extra calories to your diet. Let's Do Organic, I believe, is the brand that I get, and it's green banana flour. And again, start slow, work your way up. Don't be discouraged if once you start adding pre and probiotic foods, if you start feeling like your digestion is a little bit worse, and it very well may be. So start slow and then work your way up, and your body will adjust and your microbes will thank you. So as with all foods, these are just a guideline. They may not be right for everybody depending on where you are in your gut healing journey. You may not be able to tolerate some of these foods right now, and that's okay. The ultimate goal is to be able to eat the most diverse diet, and that may take some work, and it does take time. If you have severe gut dysbiosis, if you have had a lot of digestive issues in the past, if you've been on a lot of medications, if you have a high stress level, all of these things contribute to a healthy gut. So it's a process. So don't get discouraged. Just do what you can with what you have right now, and then add a little bit each day and see what kind of changes you can make. One other thing I did want to mention here is to eat organic and seasonally as much as possible. We want to eat organic if we can, because pesticides and fertilizers can disrupt our gut bacteria. Eating locally and seasonally is also the best way to get the most bang for our buck, because food that does not have to travel thousands of miles to get to us, it tends to be fresher. The carrots you get from your local farmer, had to travel maybe 20 minutes in their car versus being picked and packaged and shipped. So they tend to be picked more at the peak of freshness. So you're going to get a healthier, more nutrient dense actually version of that produce if you eat seasonally, locally, and organic. So Clean 15 are foods that you can feel good about buying conventional. Dirty Dozen are the foods that are the highest in pesticides and chemicals, so you may want to focus on buying organic versions of these foods. And here's your list. That was from 2023. Groceries are expensive. We spend a ton. I can't even tell you how much money we spend monthly in our household on groceries. It's kind of ridiculous. So you've got to make some choices. You got to pick your battles. And so the Dirty Dozen are ones that you'll want to choose organic. Clean 15, feel free to choose conventional in those. I'm going to talk quickly about B vitamins. They're critical to our health and the health of our gut microbiome. So many people I see under eating and deficient in B vitamins that I had to add a little bit about this. Personally, this was my story. I was on a paleo diet. You get a lot of B vitamins from things like legumes and whole grains. And I was not eating any of those when I was strict paleo. So I also was not taking any type of B vitamins. My gut was a disaster. So I was not absorbing my B vitamins, and I wasn't getting enough B vitamins. So also, if you have low stomach acid, you might not be able to absorb some of your B vitamins. So again, we got to back it up to your gut health and make sure that you have proper stomach acid to be able to digest your food, your protein, and your B vitamins. They are critical for energy, neurological function. They help with our mood, red blood cells, and optimal gut health. And interesting fact, if you have a history of B vitamin deficiency, this can also alter how you process carbohydrates long term. So it could look like you have something like insulin resistance because you're not able to process your carbohydrates due to B vitamin deficiency. So if you are someone that gets super frustrated because you can't seem to lose weight and you're not eating a lot of carbs, maybe your body doesn't know what to do with them anymore. Again, personal experience here. B vitamins help convert the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into usable energy for our cells in our entire body and also in our gut lining. We need adequate B vitamins to be able to repair our GI tract, be able to benefit and support the growth and repair of the cells throughout the body, including those in the GI tract. Just a little breakdown here of what some of the specific B vitamins do. I'm not going to read through this. This is something that you can just keep as a slide and go through yourself. But this is interesting because gut bacteria make B vitamins as well. So that's why it is crucial to have a good balance of your good and bad gut bacteria so you can have some of those good guys doing the work for you and creating those B vitamins. Here's some sources of B vitamins: nuts, seeds, legumes, seaweed, brown rice, barley, mushrooms, liver and lentils, broccoli, eggs, seafood, chlorella, leafy greens, beans, and bee pollen. So take your pick. Choose a couple of those and add them to your diet. And this would not be complete without talking briefly about hydration. I know it's not food, but water is critical to maintaining optimal gut health. And how is that? Because we need mucus production. Proper hydration helps the body produce an adequate amount of mucus in the GI tract. The mucus layer helps to prevent bacteria and pathogens from getting through. So we want a good, healthy mucus layer, and you can't have that without proper hydration. So make sure you are hydrating properly. It also helps with digestive enzymes. Most of the enzymes involved in digestion require water to function properly. So This is the one thing that I see that is across the board something that people struggle with. I think with all the clients I've worked with, I may have had one that actually was hydrating properly. Add some electrolytes to your water, add some fresh squeezed lemon or some other little bit of fruit to your water just to, you know, amp it up a little bit. Put some fresh mint in there, or other type of herbs, or even cucumber. Some people like cucumber in their water. Anything so that you will drink more of it. It also helps with our regularity. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to go regularly. And like I said earlier in the presentation, we need to be having regular bowel movements for detoxification purposes. So important to be going daily. If you're not, we need to have a talk, because that you're recycling the toxins in your body and making things kind of worse as far as inflammation goes. So nutrient absorption is also important. Important aspect of hydration. Water helps to transport our nutrients across the gut lining into the bloodstream, making sure that we receive essential vitamins, minerals, and other compounds for health. So this often goes overlooked. Buy a bottle you like, you know, create some healthy habits around when to drink water, add it to something that you already do. One of my clients has a big glass of water right next to the sink where her toothbrush is. She'll brush her teeth, drink a big glass of water, and that gets her started for the day. So there's another client that when her coffee is brewing, she drinks a big glass of water. So a way to increase your water is to just add a glass to something that you already have solid as a habit. You log into your computer in the morning, have a glass of water, something simple like that. It's habit stacking, and it can create a new neural network, new habits quite easily, actually, when you're already adding it to something that you already do. So are you hydrated? Your urine color can be an indication of your hydration level. And there's just some different colors there to go by if you are checking out your urine to see if you are hydrated. And dehydration also causes a lot of brain fog, fatigue, sugar cravings. These can all be indications that you're not well hydrated. Once I started using electrolytes in my water, my sugar cravings all but disappeared. So it's really interesting what our electrolytes, vitamins, minerals, water can do for us. Phew, I know that was long. In summary, to promote a healthy gut, we talked about some of these things. We didn't talk about all of them, but we're going to want you to eat whole foods, chew your food well, practice mindful eating, eat a diverse diet, consume at least 25 grams of fiber daily, hydrate, move daily, minimize alcohol, manage stress, get outside, prioritize sleep, and develop a mindfulness practice. All these things are things that you can do to promote a healthy gut. You can make a little bingo board out of these and, just choose a few things to do daily and see if you can start improving your gut health. So thank you so much for tuning in here, listening to this Gut Health 101 Masterclass. If you want more information on how to work with me, or just want to follow me on social to get some more tips on how to improve your overall health and your gut health, my email info@RebeccaArcina.com, website is RebeccaArcina.com, and on Instagram I am @RebeccaArcina. So pretty easy. I appreciate you taking the time to go through this with me, and I hope it was of some value for you.